Hello everyone, Eddie here with Orbital Knives, and today I want to share with you guys some of the things that I consider while designing a knife, whether it be a folding knife or a fixed blade. I find myself constantly thinking about some things over and over again. And so I want to share some of those things with you guys, not everything. First, I want to mention this is not meant to be any sort of rule book or anything like that. There is no right or wrong when it comes to design. You can do whatever you want. It's a free land. Um, but also some of these things are kind of philosophical while others are more technical. I'm not gonna go in any particular order, so I'm just gonna go ahead and get started. First off, I really don't ever want my designs to be inspired by other knives or other designers. I really like going through the struggle of designing my own thing. Um, some designers out there release a knife and say that the knife was inspired by so and so or by these other knives. And that's fine, that's what they want to do. But me personally, I don't want to say that ever with my design. So the way I design is I don't have knives in front of me, I don't have anything in front of me, I just have a piece of paper and a pen and I start drawing. And that's how things are born for me. That's why my prototype sometimes looks so different to the production version of the knives. Like this is the Callisto. It had a tanto blade going on. It had a different planche line. It had slopes in the handle. It had a wire clip that was reversible. So these two knives are quite different, but the process started here. It actually started crazier than this, and then I cleaned it out a little bit before prototyping it. So yeah, but that process was mine. Lots of nights without sleep, lots of struggle there, lots of decisions. That clip was definitely an upgrade. If you watch the reviews of this knife, this is what gets the most praise, I would say. But yeah, that's one thing. And now, please remember, this is not right or wrong. This is just my opinion. Second, a knife is a tool first and foremost. Utility will always trump looks, in my opinion. So if I have a knife that looks very pretty, but it's not comfortable in hand, it doesn't cut very well, it's not very functional, I will always make the necessary changes to make the knife be a good tool. And that's not a question for me. Utility always trumps looks. Third, hand positioning. This is a weird one, but I really want to talk about it. So when I hold a knife, I really like my hand being fairly close to where the edge of the knife starts, right here, right by that sharpening choil. The reason why that is because that allows better control over the blade. If I have a design here that I absolutely love, this is the Kaiser original. I think it's the XL. Yep, it is the XL. And sometimes due to finger grooving, like you see here, if you respect that finger groove and you put your index finger there, notice how far my hand is from where the edge of the blade starts. It is pretty far out. So if you compare the two grips between the Callisto and this one, even though I love this knife, I don't have the same amount of control over this blade. Unless I choke up, but this is not meant, like the way this is designed, I don't feel like it's meant for that. And so that is something that I think about a lot, is I could make knives look better with finger grooves and things like that, but then if it delays your hand far back, it's not a good decision for me. That is why sharpening choils are a thing. Partially why. They're also a thing because smaller knives kind of ask for a finger choil, but anyway, hand positioning is definitely a big thing for me when designing knives. Even on the large Callisto, bigger knife, you're still fairly close to the edge. Fourth, I don't like pinky hangovers. I really like the feel that a knife gives me when You have it in hand and you can feel the handle throughout your hand instead of partially in your hand. I don't think that liners replace handle very well. I have tried using those sort of fixed blades that are like 3 fingers and then you have a little liner. I never like them. They don't feel like an actual tool for me. So like this Apophis, for example, even though it's a small and slim handle, I can get my 4 fingers like a full grip on it. But I am gonna make it a little bit longer because I know there's a lot of folks out there that have bigger hands than me. So that's one of the changes that is coming to the Apophis. And what we're talking about before about utility trumping looks, I really like the way he looks right now. I am a big fan of this design, and it makes me a little sad that I'm gonna have to change it a little bit, but I have to because it is a tool. Number 5, jimping. Now, jimping is important, but it's not everything. In fact, if you look at these 2 designs right here, the Deiko and the Callisto, they have no jimping, and these were my first 2 releases. And the reason why they have no jimping is because I really consider the lines in the handle to be much more important when it comes to ergonomical experience than jimping will ever be. And a lot of the times we attribute ergonomics to jimping. And yeah, I mean, very, very few times jimping will make a difference when you're cutting or when you're using your knife. Very few times. Most of the times it's just a matter of what's going on in the handle. And so the Deiko, even though it's a very clean knife, I really enjoy it, and I really like the not jimping portion of it. And I think if I had an ergonomical issue, if this had ergonomical issues, adding jimping is not gonna solve that for me. Now I'm starting to use jimping, people like it. So I do have like jimping in your large Callisto, and I have 2 spots with jimping on the Apophis. You have here in the back and then up front, but it's not as primordial as we make it out to be. And I don't know why it's such a, yeah, as I say, it's good to have jimping for certain experiences, but most of the time it doesn't really, I think we attribute to it much more than we need to, and that's just me. Okay, it's just my opinion. Number 6. Everything within design is a trade. There is no perfect design, and that's one that's hard to swallow sometimes because you want your knife to be close to perfection, but everything is a trade. You always gotta take a decision. Let me give you an example. I would love for the Callisto to have the toughest blade out there, a blade that you can just use as an axe, but then it would cut like crap because it would be thick, right? And so I had to decide, do I want a blade that can take that sort of beating, or do I want a slicer? This is definitely a slicer. It's very thin. And so sometimes you want 2 things, but you have to go for one. And so there is not ever gonna be a perfect knife. And you gotta think during the process, what am I creating? Okay, the Callisto, 3-inch EDC knife that you can use to open packages, cut some cardboard, open letters, cut some food, you know, that sort of use. Okay, have it be a good cutter then, right? And so that's a thing. There is no perfect knife out there. Yeah, and so you have a lot of decisions and a lot of trade-offs when you're designing a knife. Every decision you make affects another portion of how the knife is gonna react, and you gotta be thinking about that. So when I decided to go this thin, I knew that this is not a knife that you should be abusing in a wild manner, I'm gonna say. Okay, because that's how I designed it. Number 7, in-pocket experience matters a lot. And so whether it be a fixed blade or a folder, you gotta check out what these things feel like when you're wearing them. 99% of the time, the knife will be on your pocket or in your belt, whatever, and you gotta have that experience and you gotta design for it. Sometimes, and I'm not calling anybody out, but I've seen this where you have a knife that might look like this when it's open, and then you close it and it nearly doubles in width. That might be uncomfortable in pocket. It might be using too much space and not allowing your hand to get past the knife and grab whatever else is in your pocket. So a lot of the experience within a knife that people will have every day, it matters a lot. You know, the way it feels in the pocket, the way it sits on the pocket, whether it's clipped or whatever, or maybe you do a sheath of sort. But yeah, that's something that needs to be talked about a lot, I feel like. And I think that is all of them. Yeah, that's all of them. So those are some of the things that I think a lot about. Talking about the in pocket, for example, I'm testing this right now, this kind of a concept, and it's, you know, is this good? I don't know. I'm still testing it. I definitely need something better than this, but it was the only way I had to test this clip. The clip works well, but I need a cleaner. So yeah, I'm probably sharing too much, but thank you guys for watching. I hope you guys are doing well, and see you on the next one.